Hello on this Monday. Welcome. Happy to be here with you. And some of you participated in the Saturday morning, a Saturday day long. And so there's maybe perhaps more continuity in the practice between the Friday and the Monday that you carry with you. And one of the things I said Saturday about this practice of mindfulness is comes a point where it's kind of a paradigm shift. We see things in a different way than we usually do. And I want to emphasize that here as we begin this meditation, that there's a natural, I think, tendency enough to focus on, if we're in the present moment, particularly with the experience with what's happening, to be concerned with how things are. And so that expression, how things are, focuses on the present moment existence of what's happening. And if you ask, how are you? There's a lot of things that might contribute to that answer. But if you try to explain it, really how you're feeling, sensing what your experience is here, you might say something definitively. But the Buddha's, but that kind of focuses on a kind of a static. The things as they are is can be seen as a little bit static, unchanging. The Buddha's way of saying this, and what he emphasized in terms of insight practice, was not how things are, but how they come to be, how they become, how they arise. And it's a difference between focusing on the static part of our reality to the dynamic, to focus on how things are arising, appearing in the moment, being present right there at the edge of time, the edge of, as time keeps arising, appearing, is here, with particular experiences that arise, that they appear. Certainly some things persist, but to be a little bit kind of like on the front of a boat, just watching the boat move through the water, as opposed to being in the back of the boat, or being in a large ocean liner where you're not even looking at the water because you're maybe inside in some big room. But to be kind of right there with how things appear, how as the water comes and meets the boat, as the boat meets the water. So things as they come to be. And we can begin this with this paradigm shift with our breathing. If you say, how is your breathing? You might say, my breathing is tight, my breathing is loose, my breathing is fast, it is slow. And those are all accurate, but how's the breathing arising? How's the breathing coming to be moment by moment? And now we're into the process, seeing the process nature of our experience, not the static kind of stepping back and generalizing, oh, the breathing is this way, is that way, as opposed to how's the breathing come to be? And then now we're focusing on how it's coming into awareness, how it's coming into experience. The beginning of the in-breath, the arising of the in-breath, the expanding of the torso perhaps, the beginning of the exhale and what happens, the cascading sensations of exhaling. As the sensations come into being, they're at the beginning of experience. So hopefully that's clear enough. So to assume a meditation posture, that's stable, rooted, grounded, so that you can sit at the bow of the boat without being tossed around too much by the waves that keep coming. And if your eyes are open, gently lower the gaze. And then with a gentle, relaxed gaze, if it's comfortable, you can close your eyes. And then to receive the appearing of an inhale, the whole process of breathing in, taking a long, slow inhale, the coming to be of an inhale, and then at the top of the inhale, there's the coming to be, coming into its beingness, its appearance, the beginning of an exhale, long exhale. It's not just a single thing. It's the unfolding of a process of the body contracting, diaphragm lifting. In a sense, breathing, the body breathing is not a thing, but it's a dynamic process of change. Where constantly something new is appearing. Something new is growing, fading. Relaxing into the breathing, relaxing the whole body as much as you can. A tense body is kind of stationary, static. A relaxed body has room and space for change, for movement, for breathing to be unencumbered. Chances are that if the mind is preoccupied in thoughts, it's concerned closer with how things are, or kind of relating to thoughts as things, as concepts, as opposed to the process of thinking, the coming into being of a thought. Every moment, things are coming into being. This is the place where the meditation becomes settled, focused, relaxed, allowing things to come into being moment to moment, getting out of the way. letting the physical, mental experiences arise and pass as if there's a lot of space for things to come into being, and that you're ready and available for the next and the next. Like an open window is available for the wind that blows through it. Sometimes what arises elicits a response within us, a reaction. That is just another arising, another appearing, another thing that comes into being. Stay there at the edge of things coming into being, allowing them to fade away from attention so you can be there for the next arising. Like a bow of a boat that meets the water and then lets the water just slide off the side. even within the in-breath and the out-breath, being available for the process of what comes to be in breathing, the constant process of change. to be at ease with the ever-changing nature of experience, to be available, ready and open to ride along with how things change, as they're always changing in some way or other. To do so is to let go of fixations on anything. And without fixations, without dwelling on anything in particular, there's more possibility for being with what's ever happening in a friendly way, in a kind way, with generosity and care. As things come to be, may we meet it with our care. May this meditation teach us, encourage us, inspire us to meet everything with open care, kindness, so that this meditation that we do can benefit the world. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free. Thank you. So hello everyone. We will, so today being Monday, we start kind of a new theme, and kind of because in some ways the theme this week will continue last week's theme. Last week was what's called the gladness Pentad, and these 5 qualities of the gladness Pentad, gladness, joy, tranquility, happiness, and concentration, also appear on a longer list that continue the pattern, continue the flow of the practice. And for 5 more qualities. And these can be called the insight Pentad, the 5 factors that arise in the wake of insight. So this is insight meditation that we do. And here in this teaching last week, the idea is that there's preparation done for real deep insight, and the insight into suffering, into insight into the inconstant nature of our experience, some deep kind of paradigm shift. That the first insight, part of the insight Pentad, is seeing things as they've come to be. Knowledge and vision of things as they've come to be. And the often the Pali expression yatta bhuta, Y-A-T-H, just it means like as, and bhuta, B-H long U-T-A, and this is a past participle. It means that not things as they are, but things as they come to be, things as they have come to be. And the focus here is not insight into how things are as things as things, but rather focus into the process, things as processes, things as dynamic and changing. And it's very easy for us to be concerned with particular things, ideas, experiences. Sometimes we hang on to an experience for a long time, carrying our resentment or our desires around it, our regrets. And we maybe carry some fixed idea of that, what happened, somewhat fixed, and but we're kind of focusing on that as opposed to the process of thoughts arising, memories arising, the thoughts of regrets arising. And if we're settled enough, we see that these are actually a relatively inconstant process in the sense that it's repetitive, that keeps reappearing and reappearing, but there's a kind of it's not a static, flat preoccupation to be concerned with. The mind is constantly regenerating itself in terms of what it focuses on, what it thinks about. But we get enamored, we get caught in the ideas of things being a certain way. They're fixed. This is how it is. And the alternative offered by the Buddha is this, nothing is. Everything is a process of becoming. Everything is unfolding, so that there's always a possibility for change, always a possibility for something new. The world is not, our suffering, our personality are not static big icebergs that don't change. They are more like water that is constantly moving. To the degree to which we live in an iceberg, we live as an iceberg, the gladness pentad is a process of thawing, of relaxing the places of tightness and holding, the places where we're caught, the places where we're fixated on things. And the practice of the pentad, the gladness pentad, is to free the fixations of the mind, the fixations of the heart. So we're available, ever available, for what's happening now, what's happening next, what's happening in this moment. And if we're able to see the constant arising and passing, the constant things as they come to be, then we live in a world that is full of potential, full of possibilities, that grow the less we fixate. The possibilities, the potential of how we meet any situation can be more and more creative and more varied. It becomes meeting reality with freedom. Fixation, focusing on really tight, this is how it is, it has to be this way, is not a space where there's for freedom of the heart, the openness, the availability, the readiness for something. But if we see it, this is not how things are, this is how it's coming to be, then the fascinating and powerful question is, given that it's coming to be this way, and let's see how we can shape it, how we can let it become something next, be something else. How do we respond creatively? How do we respond with newness to allow things to keep unfolding in a good way, to take everything that appears as not a fixed thing, but as a platform or means or condition for responding in a new way? So if So for example, if someone offends you, it's easy to get upset and angry. And then this person has offended me, and that offense has become a thing, a static. But if rather we see it as a process, an ongoing process, then we ask ourselves, oh, that seems offensive, that hurt. Given the flow, like the flow of water, how do I now navigate in this to make it better? How do I navigate this to understand it better, to myself be better with it, and to maybe respond to the person in a better way? If I meet it with resistance, then I'm stuck maybe. There's less flexibility. But if I meet it with something fluid, then maybe something different can become and arise. So I can't do this necessarily so well, but I know people who will meet offense with humor, and it de-escalates it quickly, kind of changes the whole nature. I know people who will meet offense with curiosity. What's really going on? I lean into the person. What's happening here for this person? I know people who meet offense with letting people know, well, that's happening to you. Let me tell you what's happening to me. I feel hurt. I feel afraid. I feel concerned. I feel angry, given what's happening. And so we're kind of expressing, talking about what's happening in the moment as they come to be. And so maybe saying, wow, this is how it's come to be. Wow, this is a difficult situation that's come to be here. Given that that's what's come to be, what's next for us? Given that this was difficult to hear what you had to say, what should be next? How do we go forward from here? So always this movement, how do we go forward? Where's the dynamism? Where's the movement? That is more difficult to happen if we're dwelling, fixating on this is how it is. So things as they come to be in meditation can be meditation becomes a dynamic place of change. Everything is just coming into being moment by moment. We don't dwell anywhere. Sometimes this in Buddhism is called non-dwelling awareness, non-abiding, where we kind of float on the river of change and time, being the change, being the changing flow of the present moment. We become it as opposed to think about it, be something, step apart from it. Is this easy? Not necessarily, but the ability to kind of be in the flow of the dynamism of things coming into being is built on a continuity of the gladness Pentad, the teaching from last week. So if we can't do this, then we step back and we go back to the beginning where practice is. Maybe we go all the way back to the place where we're fixated and suffering and challenged. And we hold that with kind, non-reactive awareness, maybe feeling glad that we have a practice to do so. And then with that gladness, we can engage in the practice of really trying to see more clearly, practicing more non-reactive awareness, which maybe brings the kind of warmth to it all, that begins to bring some kind of ease, tranquility, maybe begins to thaw the iceberg of how we're frozen in some kind of concern or preoccupation. And when the whole iceberg has melted, then we're resting in this wonderful pond of water, lake of samadhi, from which we then can kind of be with the fluidity of the water, the changing nature of it, meeting the currents, meeting the changes as they come to be, as they flow. So this is one way of talking about the insight into impermanence. The Buddha's language, he literally said insight into inconstancy, how things are in constant motion, constant change. And one of the purposes of this deep insight is to begin letting go, begin resisting, letting go, to begin letting go of resistance, letting go of clinging, letting go of fixation. Oh, this is how things are. Nothing is, this is how the things are. It's always, this is part of a process of change. This is a part of things coming into being. And when we see it that way, then it may be easier to be interested in, given this, how this is coming into being now, how do I participate in this for the greater good? How do I step into this changing river of phenomena and contribute something really wholesome, valuable, wonderful, beneficial into the mix? Our job is to let go and contribute what is good. Let go of our clinging and flow along, letting the current be an expression of our goodness. So this is the insight Pentad. And then as we start having this insight into change, shifting the orientation from things as they are to things as they change, as they come into being, this has an impact. That's a condition for something to begin to thaw, to change, to move, and that's a topic for tomorrow. The way that how we're affected by the deeper and deeper insight that comes from this practice. So thank you very much, and I look forward to our time together tomorrow.